In the year 2000, Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix. The asking price was just $50 million. Blockbuster said no. At the time, the decision seemed perfectly reasonable. Blockbuster was the king of home entertainment. It operated thousands of stores around the world, generated billions in revenue, and dominated the movie rental business. Netflix, on the other hand, was a small company struggling to survive. But over the next decade, everything changed. Netflix would become one of the most valuable entertainment companies in the world. Blockbuster would file for bankruptcy. And it all started with a single decision. This is the story of Blockbuster's biggest mistake. In the late 1990s, Blockbuster was on top of the world. If you wanted to watch a movie, chances were you were going to Blockbuster. The company seemed untouchable. And that's exactly why almost nobody was paying attention to a small startup called Netflix. At the time, Netflix wasn't a streaming giant. It wasn't producing award-winning shows. And it certainly wasn't worth billions of dollars. It was a small company that mailed DVDs directly to customers. Most people had never heard of it, but Netflix had noticed something Blockbuster hadn't. Customers hated late fees. For years, Blockbuster had made hundreds of millions of dollars charging customers for returning movies late. It was a major source of profit, but it was also one of the biggest frustrations in the rental experience. Netflix believed there was a better way. No late fees, no rushing back to the store, no penalties, just movies delivered directly to your door. It was a simple idea, but in the beginning, it wasn't enough. Netflix was losing money, growth was slow, and by the year 2000, the company was running out of options. That's when its founders came up with a surprising idea. Instead of competing with Blockbuster, they would try to sell Netflix to them. Netflix needed customers, resources, and a recognizable brand. There was only one obvious choice: Blockbuster. So Netflix's founders approached the company with an offer: buy Netflix. The price was around $50 million. Today, that number sounds unbelievable, but back then, Netflix looked like a struggling startup. It wasn't profitable. Its future was uncertain. And streaming didn't even exist yet. To Blockbuster's executives, Netflix didn't look like the future. It looked like a small company trying to survive. So they passed. To Blockbuster, it wasn't a difficult decision. Netflix was losing money. Its business model was unproven. And there was little reason to believe that mailing DVDs would ever become a massive business. But while Blockbuster saw a struggling startup, Netflix saw something much bigger. The internet was growing, technology was improving, and consumer habits were beginning to change. The two companies were looking at the same market, but they saw completely different futures, and in that moment, their paths began to separate. Over the next few years, technology began to change, internet speeds improved, consumer habits evolved, and Netflix adapted faster than anyone expected. The company expanded beyond DVDs and started investing heavily in streaming. Blockbuster saw the shift, but it reacted too slowly. Its entire business depended on physical stores. Netflix was building for a world where customers could watch anything, anytime, without ever leaving their homes. One company embraced the future, the other continued defending the past. As Netflix continued to grow, Blockbuster finally realized the threat was real. The company launched its own online rental service and tried to compete. But by then, Netflix had already built a massive lead. Blockbuster was also carrying significant debt and still depended heavily on its physical stores. The company was trying to adapt to a future it should have prepared for years earlier. It was simply too late. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. The company that once dominated home entertainment had collapsed. Meanwhile, Netflix continued growing. Millions of subscribers became tens of millions, then hundreds of millions. And the company Blockbuster once ignored became worth billions of dollars. far more than the $50 million it could have been purchased for. Looking back today, it's easy to call this a mistake, but that's what makes this story so fascinating. At the time, saying no to Netflix probably felt like the right decision. Blockbuster wasn't reckless. It wasn't incompetent. It simply failed to recognize what was coming next. And that's how one bad decision changed everything.